Hello, Simon here. This is a brief video explaining how to run Autodesk Backburner Manager on a Synology NAS box. So this is the NAS box that I'm going to install Backburner Manager on. I've got two, one called NAS, one called Work. So first of all, you log into the Synology DiskStation Manager interface by accessing it via its IP address. So in Info Center, you can see that my Synology is a 1522 plus. It runs on an Intel Celeron processor and has 8 GB of RAM. So to run Backburner Manager on here, we need to install a virtual machine. So to do that, you go to your Package Center, search for Virtual, and you need to install this Virtual Machine Manager. I've just sped this bit up. Okay, so once it's installed, you open it up and you are presented with the setup wizard. So you need to run that before you can do anything else. So I left all of these set to default. You need to choose what volume to install it onto because it needs some disk space. I only have one volume, so that's easy. Finish. Okay, so in this installation, I need to add a storage. Now, it could be slightly different in yours because I've already installed Virtual Manager and uninstalled it. But you might be forced to do this automatically. But whatever, you need some storage, so get that done. Okay, there's my storage. Now, you're very close to being able to set up a virtual machine now. But before you hit the create button, you're going to need the ISO file of the operating system you want. So if you haven't already downloaded one or got one on your computer, you need to go and fetch one. It's really easy. Just search for Windows Installation Media. Create Installation Media for Windows should be the first one. And then select which operating system you're going to use. I am going to select Windows 10 because I have a spare license for Windows 10 Pro, because you'll have to license it at some point, so that's easy enough. So you don't go use the update, you use the download tool now. Create Windows 10 installation media. Download tool now. Just open this, you don't need to save it, because it's going to create a file for you. I've just sped this bit up. Okay, do not upgrade your own PC. You need to create installation media instead. You don't use the recommended options for this PC because we're not installing it on this PC, but my Synology is going to get Windows 10 64-bit version. And you don't need a USB flash, you create an ISO file. It says you'll need to burn the ISO file to DVD later, but in actual fact, you don't. And I then save this directly onto the NAS box that I'm installing Backburner Manager on. It makes it easy for it to access the ISO. So I'm just going to choose a folder to put it in. I'm going to make a new folder. Just something I can find easily. I'm going to pop it in here. And I've sped this bit up again. Okay, that's finished downloading. So we can close this, we don't need it anymore. Back in the DiskStation Manager, we go back to our virtual machine. So either in Package Center or off the icon, install packages, Virtual Machine Manager. Open it up. And then we go to Virtual Machine here. Click it. Then over to Create. And then you go through the wizard again. So you choose the operating system. In this case, I'm going to choose Microsoft Windows. You select the storage that we made earlier. This is this one. And you give it a name. This is a name for the virtual machine itself, so I'm going to call it Backburner. Select how many CPUs, going to use all the CPUs, and I've got 8 GB of RAM. I'm going to make 6 GB available for the Backburner Manager, and then use the virtual machine VGA. This is a virtual VGA card. but choose what options you think are best. Virtual disk space, how much disk space is your installation going to take up? 250 gigabytes is probably enough, or maybe too much, who knows. Okay, network, I left this set to default, because you need the network, because it's a Backburner Manager, runs on network. Now, this is where you install the ISO file. So you go to this is why I installed it on the NAS box, because it lists them straight away. So here's the folder I made. There's the ISO file. I select it. And there's another ISO file in what will be a virtual DVD drive. Leave that in there because you need that as well. And then set up any other options. I set up auto start. Select the correct keyboard. It drives me mad when the keyboards aren't select correct. So mine's UK, which is English GB, and I don't know if I need this, but I set one up anyway. USB. There's a USB on the back of the Synology NAS box, but just in case I need it in the future, I've got it set. Now you set how many users can use it. It's only 2 on mine, and this is what it's going to set up, and power on the virtual machine after creation so you can use it. So you hit done. It says it's creating. It's finished creating, but it's powered off at the moment, and then the auto power on will make that start. It says it's preparing. The virtual machine has started, and you can hit connect, and that gives you a sort of virtual monitor running on the virtual machine. So this is exactly what is running on that virtual machine now. And I'll just speed it up because it's booting from the ISO file. To check, if you get worried, just go back, check that it's running. It does take a while, but as you can see, the Windows installation comes up, and you can hit install now and set up a copy of Windows on your NAS virtual machine. I'm not going to put my product key on in front of you. I'll do that later when you're not looking. Yeah, but it will work for the purpose of this demonstration. And it's Windows 10 Pro I have the license for, so I'm going to select Windows 10 Pro. And just complete the installation. I'm going to speed this up. Select the drive. I don't need to hit new, just go select next, and it will copy the files onto there from the ISO file on the NAS box. It's slow. This probably took around 30 minutes to install Windows, maybe a bit longer, and I've left the clock in the bottom corner so you can see how it rattles through the time. And then I'm at this stage. I need to set up some more options. So second keyboard, skip that. Speeding up. You can see the time rattling through again. Set up for personal use. Now, this is the thing I use, offline account. I don't want any of my Microsoft account details on there, so I just use an offline account. Limited experience, I don't want any of the jazz. Who's going to use this PC? Now, for simplicity's sake, I named it Backburner. So the Backburner Manager is called Backburner. The user is called Backburner. And the system on the network I'll also call Backburner as well. Get through all this nonsense. And we're in. This is Windows 10. I'm just going to clean up the start menu, add the control panel because you probably need that. Next thing, let's give it its network device name. So you go to System. This is quite important. You'll see why later. Rename this PC. It's going to save you some headaches later. And I'm going to call it Backburner. and you have to restart for the name to take residency. So I'm in Backburner, type in my password. You see how slow it is. It's loading things in at the bottom. Once the operating system's happy, open the file browser. And now look at the network. It's not appearing yet. And there's a reason for that. It's not quite finished. So you open the file browser on your virtual machines version. So what you do is you go down and you click on network down here. When you do that, wait for it, you get this message, network discovery is turned off, you need to turn it on, okay? And the reason I go here to do it, because when you click OK, this box appears, tells you network discovery and file sharing are turned off, click here, and then it allows you to turn it on. And then you select, this is a private network. And any second now, boom, Backburner appears on the network with all your other devices. Let's get rid of that. Okay, back to my normal computer, and you can see Backburner has appeared in the network. But there's no way of accessing it because there's no shared folders. So you go back to your virtual machine, and you need to create a shared folder somewhere. So I go to Documents and I just create a folder called Shared. Then I right click on it, go to Properties, Sharing, hit Share, tell it everyone or whatever your network preferences are in your network, but in mine everyone is safe. Select Read Write and hit Share. Hit done. Okay, now this is all good for the network. Go back to my normal computer, go and click on the Backburner virtual machine, and you can see now I've got access. And I can open up the shared folder here and just make this window to the side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the Autodesk Backburner software into that folder. So search for Autodesk Backburner, go to their App Store. You're going to need the Windows 64-bit version and then download that. I'm just going to cut this bit to where I saved it to because I took too long to find a place. Here it is, copy the zip file across. Okay, so now that is inside the shared folder on the virtual machine. So now I can install it. So to Documents, Shared, Backburner, extract all, go into the folder it creates and hit Setup. Okay, I've sped this bit up. Done. Backburner is installed on the virtual machine in this folder here. So I like to pin these to the Start menu. I don't know why it's got two monitors, but shouldn't be a problem. Okay, Manager and Monitor. You can't run server on here. It's not powerful enough to do any 3D rendering, so don't get any ideas about that. Okay. So I'm going to open Manager and the Monitor and leave everything set to default here and allow it on a private network. Okay, for some reason on the virtual machine, side by side doesn't work. So I have to space these out manually. Okay, so then on the Backburner monitor, you can hit connect. Now, if this has got automatic search doesn't always work. So you turn off automatic search and type in the name of the machine that's got the Backburner Manager on it. In my case, Backburner, as you saw. And then you allow it access over the private network, and boom, it is connected. As you can see here, new client added to the client list. So that's ready. So let's do a network render test. So I'm going to open 3D Studio Max, and I'm going to speed all this up and get you to a point where I've got a project loaded. So I have loaded up this project. It's got a simple move on this sofa, just so something can render. Okay, I'm going to save this file, just call it Backburner Test. Okay, let's submit it to the Backburner Manager. So just to let you know, I've set up a screen record on another computer to record the Backburner Manager happening remotely on the virtual machine. Back on the workstation, set the active range, tell it where it's going to save the renders to, and then under production rendering, you change it to submit to network. And when you hit connect, this is a job problem, manager not found. So again, untick the automatic search and type in here the name of the Backburner Manager system, which is called Backburner, as you've seen, and it just connects straight away. So then you just hit submit, and if we look at the virtual machine, it's taken the job, but there's no valid server to process the job yet, so it hasn't started rendering anywhere. Okay, back on the workstation, let's close all this down. And run the network render server, and it will connect. You see, it's connected and it started rendering on mine. Now, if yours doesn't connect, again, it's the automatic search. Turn that off, type Backburner and click OK, and then restart the server and it will just connect and start rendering. Let's expand this, and as you can see, Threadripper is busy doing the job. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go and trigger a server on another workstation. So the Z440 has got it on. It's one of my old workstations. It's still got the installation on there. So there we go. Z440 is coming up there. And that's it. Backburner Manager and Monitor running on a Synology disk station.